The last guy that I'm going to talk about before I turn it over to a couple videos in the worksheet is Ludwig Boltzmann, who lived the last half of the 1800s up through the very beginning of the 1900s. And he is my favorite scientist of all time, this scary-looking German physicist who proposed a completely new theory of atoms, although it's not going to sound like it at the beginning, because these basic statements are really the same that Democritus and Dalton claimed. Matter consists of atoms separated by voids. The atoms are always moving in that void. The atoms are indestructible, they're solid but invisible, and all the atoms in an element are the same. Nothing new there. But the beautiful thing that Boltzmann did, that's symbolized by these scary-looking equations down here, was to explain all the macroscopic properties of a gas. That is, the temperature, volume, the pressure, all those properties that we can measure with a real sample of gas in a real container. And explained all of that on the basis of the movement and behavior of a population of atoms. Now that may not sound like much, but basically in a time when people were struggling to decide whether atoms even existed, before there was any solid proof that they existed, Boltzmann was able to show that if they did, they would behave as a group exactly the way that we measure them in the laboratory. And this was hugely important in advancing our understanding of gases and understanding of what we call thermodynamics, which helped propel the Industrial Revolution, because the single most important problem of the time was how to best capture the energy in steam to make better steam engines. So Boltzmann was a depressed guy, quite unlike Democritus, and he never seemed to get the recognition that he deserved. Again, too many, or very many, of the scientists of the day were still trapped in the Aristotelian ideas of continuous matter and no voids, and couldn't wrap their heads around the idea of this little tiny particle that they simply couldn't see. If they couldn't see it, they didn't believe it. And as a result, Boltzmann became more and more depressed and more frustrated that he couldn't get his theories across to his fellow scientists. And he ended up committing suicide in 1906, which was just 1 year after Einstein, another scary-looking German scientist, actually showed that Boltzmann had been right all along and proved that this elusive atom, this microscopic particle, had to exist. And that's the video that we're going to be looking at next.